Asato Ma Gamaya Tomaso Ma Jyotir Gamaya Amrit Yoma Amritam Gamaya Asato Ma Gamaya Tomaso Ma Jyotir Gamaya Mrit Yoma Amritam Gamaya Asato Ma Gamaya Tomaso Ma Jyotir Gamaya Mrit Yoma Amritam Gamaya Asato Ma Gamaya Tomaso Ma Jyotir Gamaya Mrit Yoma Amritam Gamaya Asato Ma Gamaya Tomaso Ma Jyotir Gamaya Mrit Yoma Amritam Gamaya Asato Ma Gamaya Tomaso Ma Jyotir Gamaya Mrit Yoma Amritam Gamaya Asato Ma Gamaya Tomaso Ma Jyotir Gamaya Mrit Yoma Amritam Gamaya Asato Ma Gamaya Tomaso Ma Jyotir Gamaya Mrit Yoma Amritam Gamaya Asato Ma Gamaya Tomaso Ma Jyotir Gamaya Mrit Yoma Amritam Gamaya Asato Ma Gamaya Tomaso Ma Jyotir Gamaya Mrit Yoma Amritam Gamaya
Hello, hello. It is 5:55 on Tuesday. It is also, I didn't sound as excited when I said it this time. It is also the full moon tonight, and a full moon in Sagittarius, which from what I was reading when I did my research, I try to look at astrology so that it can guide me into whatever is happening in my world. And the full moon in Sagittarius reminds us that we are infinite beings in finite bodies, that we are all that we know ourselves to be, and also right here in the human experience. And so I dropped all the way in with the chant with the beautiful Alicia Mathewson as she guides us in each week, feeling the truth of those words, you know, when we are in the human experience, it can be easy to forget, to lose touch with the knowing, the absolute knowing that in any moment that we choose, we can move from untruth into truth, from darkness into light, and from death into immortality. It is a state of being. It is a choice. It is a consciousness that is always available to us. And so the lyrics, the words for that chant always steady me and remind me that, yeah, a lot of this is just kind of the game. You know, it feels so real. It feels so real. And also, this is a very temporary life that we lead, and the physical, when it dissolves, is going to bring us right back into the infinite again. So, yeah, tonight is one of those nights where I don't really have an agenda. I have pondered all day. I'm like, we'll talk about accountability, transparency, relationships. I don't know, work, projects, completions, endings, beginnings. I don't know, all of it. And I sit here, what I most want to say, is that I had a session with a client earlier, and at the end of the session I said, I feel like your soul is wanting to do two things, you know, shake you, well, first, love you and tell you you're amazing because you are, and then second, shake you and go, wake up, wake up. And I said that to her, and I was like, oh, shit, that's for me. It's for me also. Like, I have a complete match to that place of, I say this often, being in between, being in the not knowing. And the analogy I used for her feels true to share here also. I feel like the mom who has had the toddler run off and disappear, and then you go into that panic mode. And when you finally see the toddler again, you just aren't sure, like, do you love the toddler and kiss them and never let them go, or do you scream and yell and spank them for being so naughty? And you want to do both, you know, you really want to do both. And I feel that duality right now within myself. Like, part of me just wants to be very compassionate and loving, and it's full moon. It's always more intense, you know, for all of us, but I find full moons for me are not as much fun as new moons. I've said that often, and it's because there's just so much stuff being illuminated, and I see it in myself, I see it in those around me, and then I just get all cranky because I'm like, why isn't the world fixed? Why aren't we all just living in truth and light? Why do we have to sit in all this bullshit density? Why is the spotlight on us? And it just gets a little like prickly. I get prickly around full moons, and what I find for myself is I don't like when other people try to project or drop all their prickliness in my space, and they haven't done their own work to clear it for themselves first. I feel like we should all be responsible, like Oprah, we should all be responsible for the energy that we bring into our relationships and experiences. And so I don't like when I get dumped on, and so I don't like to dump on others. And when I'm in that space of prickliness, I know it's because something is being illuminated. Something is ready for me to be seen, ready I am ready somewhere in myself. I am ready to see, to look at whatever this, story, issue, dynamic, whatever words you want to use. When it comes up for me to be looked at, sometimes I get prickly because I don't want to look at it. I don't want to make changes. I don't want to have to do the work. I feel like I've already done the work. We have all these traps that we run for ourselves. And so when I get into that space of prickliness, instead of reacting, and throwing it or dropping it on other people, what I find is the best thing for me is to sit and to be still and to tune in and, to look at what it is that's coming up for myself. And I usually find it moves, and the prickliness moves. And when the prickliness moves, I can get to what's underneath it, which is the truth of the thing I don't want to look at, or the thing that I don't want to change, or the places where I'm ready to grow again. It's all sitting there underneath the prickliness, and it's much easier to throw the prickliness away, give it to somebody else because I don't want to deal with it. And it takes a really conscious choice to go, oh, okay, I'm just going to sit with what I'm feeling and see what's there. So, of course, blessings on my beautiful client who's like presenting me with exactly what my soul wants me to get, which is, I love you. You're doing an incredible job. And also, what the hell? Figure it out. Do this thing, make the change. And I believe we're all navigating both of those, wanting to love ourselves, be as compassionate for ourselves as we are for our friends and our children and our parents and the ones we love. We want to be just as compassionate to them. We want to be compassionate to them. It's easier to be compassionate to them than it is to be compassionate to ourselves. And at the same time, we know when we're out of alignment. We know when we're being pouty or, not wanting to change. So we kind of need both. We need the compassion and the shake-up. Yeah. And of course, a friend of mine sent me a link to a video this morning. Shake It Up was the name of the video. Like, God, all these messages. Why can't people just let me be? Why do they have to keep showing me where my shit is? So yeah, it's the full moon. And what I really wanted to do was like go lay in the sun. And I feel like I just said this recently. I didn't want to do my work. I didn't want to come and sit down and see what is here for me to see. And yet I know I find when I'm in this space and I hold myself accountable to be in this space, then I've done the pre-work, I've done the meditation, I've sat with the uncomfortable feelings, and so when I sit here, it's a space of awareness, a space of more clarity, and it's easier to dodge that. Often, it's been much easier to dodge it, and also that's not the point. The point of this journey of life that we are all taking is to constantly be more, create more, evolve, understand more about ourselves, and then share what we understand. And hopefully, it resonates with somebody else, and then they share it with somebody, and suddenly we're all clearing and healing. So here I sit. I believe what has been feeling uncomfortable for me is that, when we have completions, which is what I talked about last week, we have these projects, that we we hold space for, and we create and we form, and then we birth, and then suddenly they're done. We're like, oh, now what? What do we do? And I've been feeling that, a little lost, a little like, okay, got that one checked off, and so now what? What do I do next? And yeah, I share that because I feel like we all have those. We all have those matches. We finish a school year. This is what's happening in my home. We finish a school year, and we can charge through and move right into the next school year and, do what we've always done, or we can kind of pause and reassess and look back and go, how did that go? And what worked well and what didn't work well? And then step into the next phase of growth, a little more aware, a little more conscious, bringing the wisdom that we gained in that space of growth into the next venture, the next creation. And I've spent some time with my son really talking about that this year. He just finished freshman year. And freshman year of high school is hard. There's so much. My heart hurts for 15-year-olds. You remember that age of 15? It's so hard. It's so hard. And trying to figure out, who are you? And you weren't what you were in middle school, and you're nothing right now in high school because you're that freshman. And yet, all that is being created comes from the platform that you start in freshman year. And I feel that so much for my son, and I feel like he has just excelled. He's really found his groove, and he's just becoming such a beautiful, confident young man. And my daughter just got home from her freshman year at college, and she excelled and found her groove, and is really stepping into the amazing young woman that she is going to be and grow and evolve more and more into. And yeah, so as a mama, I feel like I'm doing really well. I'm holding beautiful space for my children, and I see that. They're not perfect. I'm not perfect, and yet I'm doing it really well. And also, like, this summer feels different. It feels like they're going to be doing more things, being more independent. And so there's a little bit of that, all mamas, we all go through this. We're like, shit, I'm not as needed as I was, And that's the point. God, I hate that I cry here. Okay. All right, so we're always needed. We are always needed as moms, and I know that because I always need my mom. So there's just a lot here tonight. Yeah, what I'm really feeling is like, it's so easy to cry. It's so easy to just move and rush and, kind of charge through life and focus on the tasks and getting things done. And, when we pause at those thresholds and we pause and we feel like all the richness, all the beauty that exists in those moments, they just anchor into us in such a deep way. It's an amazing gift. to stand at thresholds and be present for them, be really present. It feels like, Memorial Day is this beautiful time where we stand at the threshold of winter and we move into summer. And here in the United States, it's like that weekend is always this signal, it's time to have fun. It's time to stop all the heaviness in the work and the pushing through of winter. And yes, we're in summer. Let's play. And so the Memorial Day weekend is, for us especially, we're blessed with this beautiful pool and backyard. And it was a beautiful summer, sunny, hot weekend here. So we were able to really be together and be in the pool and talk and be a family and have more family come over. And I spent some time in meditation. I guide a meditation on Sundays, and the image, the intention grid, sorry to sniff on you. The intention grid was this dolphin, and it was a beautiful painting by a little guy, Gus, who works with Art with Intention, the organization my friend Patty runs. And he created this beautiful painting of a dolphin, and it's just dancing in the waves, and the sun is shining, and it's just this joyous, beautiful image, and I used that as the foundation for my intention grid and put a couple crystals on there to represent what I felt happening here on Gaia in the moment. And I feel that invitation, to play, to delight, to be in the celebration of life, to step out of the heaviness and the density of all the worry and fear that so many of us carry, and just to be in the playfulness of the journey. And so that was the image, and the meditation was just beautiful. It was exactly that, to feel the joy of the human body and the infinite soul that sits in this human body, and how we're so connected to Gaia, our planet, and so connected to Source. And yet here we are in these human experiences. And so the fear and the density sometimes can pull us back or weigh us down, or have us not feel needed or valued, right? And I say every mom and every dad, I believe we all go through this, Our children have outgrown us, so we're irrelevant. And it's not true. It's never true. It's never true. That is one of the things I hear the most from my friends and clients who have lost their parents is, I just want them back. I wish I had them back. Yeah. So the way we do one thing is the way we do everything. The way we experience one threshold is the way we experience many thresholds. And what I'm crying about is my children, which I didn't even realize. I didn't even realize it was that present for me until I sat down with my soul in this space of truth and clarity. And what has been more at the surface for me than that has been the completion of my book that I shared last week, the completion of this beautiful co-creation about autism. And I shared last week that the proof was being mailed. It arrived on Wednesday, and I created some quiet time on Thursday, the whole afternoon. I just sat and meditated and scribed and looked through the book and looked at all the edits I want to make. The point of a proof, right, is that you proof it, and then there's a lot of edits, and there were quite a few. And I found I was really protective of the book. I didn't want to show it to anyone. I didn't want to talk about it. I just wanted to be with that, the purity. Yeah, like the purity of that creation. And again, it's so wild, right? It's like, it's exactly like having a baby. It's like when you share something that is just so tender to you. Me, when I share something that is so tender to me, it's vulnerable. And yeah, it's like you don't want your baby criticized, you don't want judgment on your children. I know all parents, the parallels here are so funny. All parents feel this. Shouldn't have bothered with mascara, right? It's not a mascara night tonight. Full moons are all about emotion and water. I should have known better. I believe all parents, my hope is that all parents are fiercely protective of their children and would always, always have their children's back and love their children fiercely forever. It's so easy to get caught in the human judgments, of ourselves and others. And we want our children to be perfect. We want them to follow the rules and do everything they're supposed to do. And they're also souls having these human journeys. And I believe our role is just to love them with everything we have, and cheerlead for them and encourage them, and let them express themselves in their own unique ways, and just celebrate these beautiful souls that are gifted to us to guide and to walk with and protect. And I feel all of that, with my children, for sure. With my surrogate children, my adopted children also, I feel that. Very protective of them. And when I got the book last week, I felt that it was like, I don't want anyone to see it. I don't want anyone to tell me there's one mistake. I don't want anyone to judge anything that's been co-created by these beautiful artists with autism. Like, I don't want anyone to question the purity of the creation. And so I sat with it by myself and just reveled in how cool it was. And then I shared it with my daughter, and she received it with so much love and support. And so then I was ready to share it with Patty, who is the beautiful art therapist I talk about in the book. And I saw her, it's Tuesday, I saw her on Sunday, and she's as delighted as I am. And I feel like the parents, we're the parents, and we've got this now. Like, we're ready to share it with the world. And so yesterday I shared it with my husband, and he also loved it. And it has felt really good to do this differently than how I shared my first book. When I wrote that, I was just so excited to have the project done. I was like, yay! Everybody read it. Everybody look. It's so cool. And I think I also wasn't as protective because I felt like it was what moved through me from source, from earth, from all the guides who helped me write it. I was like, yeah, it's just this transmission of energy. And so I didn't have that same super protective feeling like I do this time. And I'm just kind of sitting with all that. I don't really understand. Do I understand all the nuances? I would say this is a deeper truth in this book even than what I shared in One Day, the first book. The way that I see souls and those with what we perceive as human limitations or disabilities, I still see the infinite soul inside and its brilliance, its beauty. And so there is a little fear, hesitation. Will others agree with that? Will others see that for the truth that I see it as? And, the human mind sometimes wants to not step into that arena and pull back and allow everyone to continue thinking whatever they think. And the infinite soul inside of me is so steady and so certain that it's time to talk about these topics. It's time to really express what I know about chakras, the energy chakras, and intention grids, and the power of what we can all do when we collaborate, and the process of creation, of birthing, of bringing something new into the world. This book, it shares all of that, and it does it through words, and it does it through these beautiful images that are painted by these children with autism. And so it's a more pure, not more pure, it's a deeper truth of mine, a deeper expression of mine. And I'm kind of sitting with that on this full moon, full moon in Sagittarius that says, be your big, beautiful, awesome self. And that's what I felt in my client session when the soul was like, you're good, we love you, everything's fine. And also, come on, like speak up, do what you're supposed to do, and speak your truth, get it out there. So I feel, I feel tender, I feel unpolished, I feel like I'm sitting in the unknown right now. We're making edits to the book. It should be finalized this weekend. I'm going to meet the last two of the students next weekend with Patty, which delights me to be able to meet them in person. And, I can feel the work that's coming from, sharing a product, sharing a book, sharing a creation with the world, and all the steps that follow. And so typically for full moons, I go to bed early. I take a long bath. I kind of go in and, sit with whatever it is that's being illuminated. And so it feels a little raw and vulnerable to be sitting in front of the video camera and sharing it. And also, that's that damn accountability that I keep getting and giving to myself. It's the part of my soul that keeps shaking me and saying, come on, show up and share, and show up and live your truth, and show up and, stay authentic. So the other piece that has been sitting for a while, I always have loved having like multiple things going at the same time, different projects, all kind of underway. I like focusing on one and taking it all the way through, but I also like knowing that there are different creative energies that are moving in my space, and that's that pushing, rushing forward into the next thing. One school year ends and we charge into the next. One threshold ends and we move right into the next threshold and the next journey, and pausing to fully be in that moment of the threshold. It really takes a pulling back of the motor, of the throttle, of the momentum, really slowing everything down so that we can just be at that in-between space for a little bit, and make sure all the places behind have been gathered up and settled in, and that we're clear on where it is we're wanting to go to next, instead of just falling over the threshold into the next thing, being very intentional about what we're doing next. And so for myself, I've had this project of a podcast I wanted to do, kind of sitting on the back burner since the beginning of the year. And this morning in my meditation at the end, I just got this clear message like, yep, it's time to start. And so I made this to-do list today of all the things that I want to get done and stay focused and stay on track. And, and then what came up over and over were just little prickly things all day long that said, feel your emotions, be present, pause the activity, land in this moment of the threshold and see what's really here. Be here in this moment and get the richness from it, get the beauty from it. So, yeah, the beauty is I've done an incredible job. I've done a really beautiful job of creating something I am so proud of. My children, always, and also this book. I'm really proud of what I've created. And I'm so excited to introduce the co-creators of this with me, those who have been a part of it. And it's going to be amazing. It's going to be a really, really beautiful journey that we're all going to take. So, yeah, the illumination, it's so funny when I was with my former partner, when I was coaching with this woman who was such a good friend of mine, we always laughed because she was very comfortable in the spotlight and I really loved being in the back. I really loved supporting and validating for her how amazing she is. And, I love that role. I love that role of just being the space holder from behind. And I have done that in my relationships. I have done that with my children. I have done that with a lot of my friends, my clients. Like, I like that role of being the one who has the spotlight that I'm shining on others. And so as I've started my business over the last couple of years, I've found it brings up being in front of the spotlight, being in front of the camera, being the one who is the visible person that is running this business. And I have my own unique beliefs and expressions and creations and ways of thinking and doing and supporting and loving. The being in the front of the spotlight is still sometimes a lot for me. The illumination sometimes is a little too bright. And yet, each time I do it, it gets a little easier. So, not tonight, but most of the time. Yeah. I don't know that I have much more to say except, this full moon, being the infinite being in the finite body. Most of the time it's really easy for me to stay in that space of just feeling how good it feels and, sharing that joy, radiating that joy. It's so alive inside of me. And yeah, right now the human part of me is feeling how beautiful it is to be the infinite soul in the finite experience. So whatever matches you have to that, I send you big exhaling sighs to say we're all doing it together in our own ways, our own projects, our own creations, our own fears, our own limitations. We're all taking the journey together. So I see you. I know you see me. And yeah, salt bath. Salt bath. Music that fills and delights our souls, and ease and grace. Ease and grace. I forgot to get lyrics for a song. I forgot to get lyrics for a song. So yeah, I still have my Post-it note from last week on my computer, and I'm just going to bring those same lyrics back in as we close the space tonight. The chant was by Asato Ma Prayer, and you can find it on YouTube. It says, "Every heartbeat is God's name to me, and every breath of life is ecstasy." May we all remember that and live that and celebrate this human journey. So much love from my heart to yours. Mwah.